A few weeks ago, I watched a video that has really gotten stuck in my mind. The video is from a creator on YouTube called Scrobbling. If you're into pop punk or shoegaze, I highly recommend checking their channel out. The video I want to talk about today is titled, "Stop Worrying You Aren't Good Enough." Now, as a man of chronically low self-esteem, this title caught my attention. But the message that Scrobbling presents is a very good one, and it's given me the push I needed to make this video and this channel. I'll circle back to Scrobbling's video in a bit, but I ought to tell you who I am first. Hi, I'm Jake. I take photos on crusty old cameras that I find in thrift stores. And as of now, I also make videos about taking photos on crusty old cameras found in thrift stores. I don't know why, but for most of my life, I've struggled with my self-confidence. In public, especially, I get really self-conscious and worried about doing something embarrassing. I spent a lot of time walking on eggshells and feeling like everyone around me was watching me and waiting to criticize everything that I do. Directly opposed to my negative self-image and social anxiety, I've always felt an intense need to express my creativity whenever I can, and a burning desire to be perceived as a unique individual with a refined palate and exquisite taste. It's like there are two wolves inside of me, and neither of them are fun at parties. As a result, many of my creative endeavors are half-assed attempts, long abandoned, and what projects I do finish, I'm not confident enough to share with anyone that I know. The current focus of my inner conflict is the wide world of analog photography. But I've noticed something's different this time. I actually have a lot to show for my efforts so far. And I actually want to show it to people. It's usually difficult for me to share something that I've made without a disclaimer or a cop-out of some kind. With my music, I can always say, oh, it's not finished. It still needs some parts worked out. It still needs tweaked. And I never have to finish a song for the rest of my life. With film photography, this strategy is not an option. If I tried to show off a roll of film that I'd shot and said, oh, it still needs to get developed and scanned, but isn't it great so far? I would be drawn and quartered. Instead, with film, I don't have any half-assed attempts to abandon. I either have an idea in my head, or I have a physical photograph, whether it's good or bad. This brings me back to Scrobbling. In the video, they talk about their struggles with perfectionism and self-doubt in their creative life.
I have this issue where I'm like a huge perfectionist. And so whenever I go to make something, whether it's something as small as like a pair of earrings to something as big as a YouTube video, I get stopped by my inability to finish things because I worry that whatever I'm making isn't good enough. This is not a self-help video. This is a cry for help video.
This feeling is incredibly relatable to me. I'm constantly second-guessing myself and wondering what people are going to think about my work. I'll waste hours simulating scenarios and conversations in my head and preparing a legal defense for every possible critique that someone could have about my work before deciding it's not worth the risk of humiliation. So I set my cherished creation aside to collect dust and never see the light of day again. Scrobbling goes on to propose the solution to their problem is to just buckle down and make something. Anything. So that's what this video is for me. I've tossed the idea of a YouTube channel around for years, but I've never felt confident enough to put myself out there and actually do it. I'm ripping off the Band-Aid, and I don't care if this turns out awkward and terrible. I can't care about that anymore, or I'll have learned nothing and I'll continue to do nothing. The reality is that no one will ever be as critical of my own creation as I am. And even if I don't meet my own unrealistic expectations, that doesn't mean that my work doesn't have value. So this video is a reminder for me. A reminder to relax my shoulders, unclench my jaw, and let the things that I make just be. Thank you for watching, and I'm not allowed to care if you enjoyed this video. Many thanks to Scrobbling for the inspiration. There will be a link to their channel in the description. I'll be making more videos soon, mostly about film photography. So if you're into that sort of thing, stay tuned. In the meantime, I would love some feedback and suggestions for the YouTube channel, but be nice to me or I will cry.